Hey, 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 good morning. It's your girl, Neo Soul recording artist Lahla-Hadiya back again for another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. Today's topic, we're talking about de-stressing. De-stressing and regaining your peace of mind. And that's for adults and children. With everything that's going on, I think this topic is very apropos to what is happening in the world because stress is at an all-time high. So today we're going to discuss ways that you can de-stress or ways that you de-stress because it's all about helping out the community. So how you de-stress may help another. Feel free to chime in. I'm going to go ahead and get my mother on the line. There she go. Hey.
Hey
Don't talk about
everybody,
me in my red
everybody in
skin shirt. Look, don't
it's
talk
a
about my shirt
beautiful day
today.
in the neighborhood.
I was telling the Facebookers what today's topic was. And excuse me for not drinking my tea, but I needed some water today. But I was telling the Facebookers about today's topic about de-stress. And I know you know a lot about that. So we're going to let you get started in whatever way you want.
Well, the first thing of de-stressing is to inhale, exhale, breathe. My son very often, when he reads that I'm troubled by something or anything, the first thing he asks me two things. First thing he tells me is to breathe. And the second thing he asks me, have you eaten today? And his theory of asking those questions, first of all, if you're breathing, you're in good hands. That means God has spared you another day, another opportunity to get it right. The second thing is he'll ask me if I've eaten. Because most times, if people have eaten, then that means they're doing pretty okay. So those are two things we want to do. We want to first of all be thankful that we're breathing. That's a blessing in itself. And secondly, making certain that you're feeding your body healthily and you're eating the right things to keep you healthy. Now, in days like today and other days going through this pandemic, many people are stressed. And a lot of adults assume that we're the only ones being stressed. But guess what? Our children are products of us, and they are being stressed as well. So we owe it to ourselves to not only do the self maintenance, but to also do a well baby check on our children. Um, I mentioned yesterday or early in this week that I viewed a video of a young man. His mom apparently was videotaping with him to give him the opportunity to air his frustrations. And you could just see in his expression, this was maybe a high school student, and he was stressing because he said, now that we're doing classes online, distance learning, he says, I'm not getting it. I'm really feeling pushed up in a box. I'm feeling that I've got all of these subject areas to take care of. And guess what? I don't have the access of a teacher, the teacher who is knowledgeable of these subject matters to, bounce off of. So his entire expression was, and he was short of tears, sharing, I've got this math assignment to do. He was just rattling them off. So, and I'm constantly, as an educator, I'm thinking like, this really must be a load on our students. First of all, many of them are not accustomed to uh, a different learning style, or in that case, they are feeling overload.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Parents are feeling overload as well.
Ooh, Lord.
Because guess what? Parent, Parents are having to double duty, in many cases, triple duty, because they're having to do work from home with their professional duties, and they're having to instruct their children. You talk about a
I'm
heavy
going to
load.
jump in right there because I'm stressed. I am stressed.
Breathe,
Look, I'm
inhale,
screaming out. I need a de-stressor. I don't even know
breathe.
what to. Good morning, Denise.
All right.
Man, let
Now,
me tell you. Like, this is the thing. So there's no secret that Johnny and I have 6 kids, right? But a lot I've heard, and then by my mother being in education, and then even Johnny taught for a while. I came out and went to the police department, and I taught for a year after that, and then that was it. The kids started coming, and I was like, no, teaching is not for me. But good morning, Meaty. The thing is this, right? Yes, I do. I've always had a respect for what teachers do. What I will say, not to take anything away from teachers, what I will say is a lot of the parents now, I see a lot of the memes go out. Like, now, when you go back, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I understand why you guys go through what you go through. It's still a different dynamic because you have parents who actually work, and their work has transitioned to work from home, and those who may not be used to what that looks like and what that entails, there are some people who teleport, so they have experience with, like, going into the office, and then on certain days of the week they work from home. Then you have certain people who they've never had that opportunity, and so to come into a space where that is new, and then all your kids are home, and then if you have a significant other spouse, like, to have them in the space too, um, whether you have a big house or what, it's still new, and so you're put with the task of monitoring your children to make sure that they are effectively distant distant learning. And I'll just speak for me, being transparent. In my case, I have every experience. You know what I'm saying? We have a pre-K-er, we have a third grader, it's elementary, we have middle school, we have high school. So it's like all levels. And a lot of the teachers, this is new for them. So they are, trying to get in the thick of things, of trying to, come up with a plan. Well, in the Castro household, there has to be structure or mommy goes crazy. Like, I have to have a schedule. There has to be, like, at 7:30 this happens, at 8 o'clock. And not so much that, it always happens that way. But if I don't have a foundation, I am lost. So I have to have a schedule. They laugh at me all the time. My husband's like, oh my God, like, so we really have to do this at this time. But I at least have to have the foundation, or I'm going to go crazy. And so I'm getting stressed because every night I find myself sitting on the side of the bed writing schedules, because this week was a little touch and go because the teachers were still kind of getting themselves together. So in order that everybody stayed on task, and they had their private time to be able to have study hall and their live classes, I'm writing schedules every single night until they go to bed. Like, from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they have a schedule. I started to bring it down here, but they're about to get up and they need to see what they're doing. And so I have to format the schedule so that the little ones, excuse me, aren't in their way. So I'm, having time when they have outside time and they're in the house, and then they can go outside and they're in the house, and then incorporating the fact that my husband and I still have work to do. But we're the hands on for the teaching for our children. On top of that, we have an 8-year-old autistic daughter who's like, "What the heck? What is going on? I thought we were just home on vacation. Like, what? Now now I got to do work." So I'm stressed. She's stressed. The baby's stressed because the baby's like, "Whoa, I'm used to having my own time. Like, where's grandma? Like, what? Why are these people invading my space?" So it's a lot. Yeah, and be on team with this. This learning is challenging. It is challenging, and one of the things that tapped into me starting to de-stress was one of the teachers was like, "You guys are amazing. Like, my hats go off to you because you literally like have every level of education in your house, and they have their own schedule. Like, we're she was saying that my daughter was in her class was the only one who really had a schedule. Like, I was like, okay, well, if you're, because she wanted to do a FaceTime, and I'm like, okay, well, you can't all willy nilly it. Like, let me know because it's going to fit into the schedule. She's like, schedule. I'm like, yes, we have scheduled, like, even for her, we had, the baby scheduled for potty time, reading to everything is on a schedule. So she's like, wow. And so it even boosted her confidence enough. And so next time I talked to her, she had like a little schedule up behind her when she FaceTimed us. So, you know, I am stressed. This right here is part of my de-stress. Um, so thank you, mommy, and thank you, Facebook family, because before the start of my day, I get to breathe, like you said earlier. Um, because after I walk upstairs, it's game on. So I need suggestions. I'm open to what people do, and please don't tell me to go get a bottle of wine because I like
That's
the.
not until the end of the day.
But look, at the end of my day, I'm writing schedules, so they liable to wake up and they be outside all day. So like, I don't tell me that. I need some real life like suggestions. Like today's segment, I want to pour into you guys, but I need you to pour into me. So I'm looking for some feedback on what to do because this is a lot for me. Hey, Meaty. I know.
Okay,
I know
y'all keep
you.
those comments coming.
Meaty said, yes, I need
I
your
know you have
schedule.
lots of comments on that.
Let me tell you, Meaty, I run, look, my dad was military, so, and I'm an ex-police officer, so, like, I run a tight ship up in here. It's like, everything is a clockwork. And the crazy thing is, the kids, so I do a debriefing. I do find time to like debrief before they go to bed. Because they turn their phones in at a certain time. And so when they turn their phones in, we have a little debrief and I ask them, how did today work for you? Because every day was different for them because they have different classes at different times. Um, and so they were like, Mommy, like we're like, this is nice. I like this. I like this. And, my husband's like, babe, you gotta realize everything is not always gonna fall on the schedule. You gotta breathe. You gotta take time for yourself. I was like, I don't have time to take time for myself. I gotta get them on point. Like I got an eighth grader, and like these people. Look, they gotta learn. So, and my focus was always eventually they're going to go back to um, front in person, out front and in person learning with their teacher, and as we do in the cash shows, like you are the best, and being the best has nothing to do with anybody else. Like it's not a competition with anybody. The competition is with yourself. So when I tell my kids, yo, you're the best, I want you to go out there and be the best, they already know what that means. That means I need you to be better than you were. Like every day you competing against yourself. So when they do go back, the Castro children, there won't be any issues as far as placement and where they are academically. Like I have like I said, a middle schooler going into high school. So I need her to, be on point. She's moving into a new environment altogether. And she say, read, go walking, sit up, back alone. Let me tell you, Meaty, like, I wish I had brought the schedules down here. I finally snuck in a workout session and I added it to the smaller girl schedule. It's called Workout with Mommy. Right? So that was my sneaky way of like putting in my me time. And so during that time, I'm doing a go workout. You know, so the kids, the first time I started, they looked and was like, "Oh my god!" Like they were videotaping me. They couldn't even focus. So I'm like, "Okay, well, I can't even do that out loud. Can't even do that in the living room. So I gotta come into a private space because you know they think it's funny." But even when I'm outside with the little ones, like I have to work on their gross motor skills. So it's really not alone time for me. We go on walks, but it's not alone time for me. But I still I'm able to kind of breathe a little bit. Um, we're exploring, you know, so I'm still teaching, especially with Laura. Like I had her on, I feel good because I had her on FaceTime with her grandmother, and she went through every body part. You know, she was telling her to point to it. She was like, "Grab your shirt," and so she was like this. You know, so I'm sitting there almost in tears, like it's working. So, like for me, I've always been. My mom would tell you, like I've always been a person that like I gotta get the job, like I gotta stay ahead of the game. So it's very rare that I stop and rest. Like you know, once something works, I'm like, yes, now I gotta keep going. That's how you know it's moving. It's moving. So go ahead. Just
Just
look. I'm stressed.
one point.
You gotta cut me off.
You said something that is crucial to this whole ordeal, and that is you have first of all, you can't take care of anybody else until you take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be in a position to take care of anyone else. So it's so very important for you to take those moments, 2 to 3 minute moments for self. If none other than to look in a mirror and say, Lala, I'm worth it. I'm doing a great job. Pat yourself on the back. You know, that was one of the things when I taught elementary school. I got my kids acclimated into reinforcing themselves, you know? So you got to reinforce yourself oftentimes, you know, pat yourself on the back and realize that those, even the little increment improvements are worthy of praise. Okay. And so I encourage you to keep doing that, you know, to encourage yourself. Don't look for anybody else to do it because chances are you may not get it. So
Now I
just
will
keep
say
going.
the kids would be like, "Mommy, you good? Mommy, did you eat? Mommy, you're doing a good job." Like they'll see me in their study hall. They'll see me transition into another room for teaching with the little girls, and they'd be like, "Mommy, you're doing a good job." I've even like I think yesterday I bumped into Mr. Castro, and he gave me a quick hug and was like, "Baby, you're doing good." And you know, the good thing is I'm not necessarily doing things by myself. um, the work from home that I do is different than the work from home my husband does. So a lot of times he is um, back and forth to the computer because he's a audio visual technician. So um, his is very unpredictable. So he jumps in when he's not on the computer helping somebody. You know, do whatever. These everybody's on Zoom meeting, so like he's in high demand. But um, he jumps in when he doesn't have to have a call or whatever. And I wish I could take you on a tour. I'm on a computer, but I think next time we do a segment like this coming back again because I'm gonna get stressed again. I'm gonna take you on a tour of the lab, and we're not talking about our studio. I'm talking about the lab and what we created. Like there is a computer lab in our dining room. Like you know, everybody's computer is up, even down to the baby. So my husband's at the table, and that's the best way that we can monitor. Like I've seen a lot of parents have their students in the rooms, and so not that I don't trust my children. Because I do to an extent, but they're children, and so just like being in a classroom setting, there are times where even in high school, a teacher has to walk past and kind of like get you back on track. So the best way to monitor that is have everybody's computers in the same space so that you don't
Absolutely.
drift off into something else.
Another key point. We live in a technological era, and face it, good, bad, or indifferent, our children are acclimated to their involved with G. As a rule, even in school, that is one of the biggest problems that teachers have is students with those cell phones. I promise you. I promise you. So if they're doing it and getting away with it, because the teacher has anywhere from 30 to 40 kids to monitor. So if they're getting away with it at school, you better bet they're getting away with it at home, because most times in normal times, parents are not in the home. They're working, round the clock. So I suggest strongly that we parents monitor those cell phones or
Yeah.
any social media. I tell you, a lot of influences of kids are coming from social media. So, and one thing that Lala mentioned about debriefing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Always, always build in your schedule
Hmm.
a time for debriefing your kids, hearing them,
Yeah.
hearing them, listening to them, listening to them. Please, please, please. I tell you, I, even when I was in the classroom, every grade level, every grade, even when I taught my college students, every, every person, every scholar, every student comes in your classroom with something. And my goal was, don't leave with that same umbrella over your head or something hanging over you. Like in the cartoons, they have a little bubble, and it follows them. Don't. Make sure you're debriefing your kids, you're listening to your kids, you're hearing their concerns. And in times like these, even though they're home, there are still those little things waiting down on them. You know how it, but do you know how it's affecting them? So definitely the debriefing, Lala, is an excellent, excellent tool. The other thing, I'm looking down at my notes here, is
You
to
should have sent them notes to me. I'm dying over here.
family activities. Family activities.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's good in every bad. I always say that. And the good in this whole thing, this new normal, is that parents are more visible, they're more accessible or potential for accessibility with their children. Take advantage of it. Build in your family time. I know Lala, the last I was talking with them, and a couple of they have Bible time. They have Bible
Every
study
day.
time, and
Every
that's
day.
something we've
2 o'clock.
always done. She knows. She and her dad, the colonel, I call him. We had Bible study time where the neighborhood kids, their friends, came in and shared with us in doing Bible study. Whether it's Bible study, game time, uh, date time with each of your kids, give them that individual time as well as the family time. So important. Write little notes to them, little messages, little journal notes, and have your children to journal. I know another thing that Lala is doing is she bought these journals for her kids. Now the challenge is having the kids to really take it seriously
They
and
actually have. They
actually
actually have.
actually write in those journals,
Uh-huh.
hear from them. And guess what? When we go back to business as usual, and we will, maybe a little different scheduling, but you will continue to have those children journaling, so that when you're not there, you are there.
Hmm.
I remember when my babies were little, from kindergarten, preschool, I would pack little notes in their lunches, in their lunch boxes.
Hmm.
So, whatever it takes. That's one of my famous things. Whatever it takes to build, to grow your children into the functional human beings that you want them to grow into. Don't hesitate to communicate in whatever way is possible for you. I promise you, you will not regret it.
Meaty said you can't pour from an empty cup, Lala. You absolutely must take a long time for your schedule. Yeah, it's at night. um, what's up,
It's
Anita? Carmen, hey, Carmen.
it takes
Linda said we have a junior high schooler, a pre-teener, um, and they're opinionated. Yes, the scheduling is a right thing for us. Breaks, walks, exercises. Just make it fun and take care of yourself first. Um, she says they love the phones and Chromebooks still have TikTok. So that I knew. That's why all Chromebooks are in a central location. And guess what? They're right next to and across from Daddy Castro. So there will be no TikToking. And just like teachers do, any given time, I'm walking past. How you guys doing? Um,
be vigilant.
Right.
Yes.
And this whole homeschooling thing has allowed me to input some things that have been taken out of the schools. For whatever reason, so like we have home ec back in the schools, which they already like every last one of my kids know how to cook, even down to the baby. Like she has her little pan and she must stir something during cooking time because she'll have a fit. But we brought home ec back. We bought tech ed back. My husband had to fix our ice maker on our fridge, and the boys in the kitchen taking apart the whole entire sink. They had to put a new faucet in. So they have tech ed, home economics, where at lunchtime we're making meals sometimes, and not just the average sandwiches. So they're able to actually start from scratch and make a meal. They do that at dinner time. So what I've done is basically made school. It's going to sound weird, but I've made school all day. And not that they're sitting in a central location doing busy work, but they're doing learning all day. And then learning doesn't have to be boring. Learning can be fun, so they have fun making food from scratch. And then it gives me a chance to brush up on my cooking skills, because I gotta go from memory sometimes and tell them what to put in what. And so, we've been able to do that, which is something fun to do. Today they have a treat
And
because
that's
they're ending schooling as you know it, early today. And we've incorporated movie time, which is most of the time their schedules are crisscrossing each other. Today there is a point where everybody comes like this. And so, because it's Friday and I can do that because I'm the teacher, so they have movie time with us, and it's not on a late night. A lot of times when we're at work and we're coming from the office and they're coming from school or practices for something because they're in performing arts schools, movie time is like that. Okay, we're gonna sit in front of the TV and fake like we about to watch this movie together, and then in 10 minutes, half of everybody is asleep. Now we get to experience movie time where everybody's awake. It's still daytime outside, and then afterwards there's something else to do. Like my mom was saying, we've incorporated. Well, that's something that they've always wanted to do. But now we make sure that it's still incorporated with this whole homeschooling, and that's Bible study. More than ever, my older ones are interested in the Bible and God and salvation and what this looks like in a spiritual light as far as what we're going through. So they have questions, and so now Bible study is very very interesting every day, and we do it every day. At the same time, we do it every day right before dinner, and so it's been interesting. Like I won't say that all of my stress is bad, even though good stress can be bad. But it's a good stress for me. Like I'm not stressed. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm just like, it's a lot. It is a lot. And my sister on here, Carmen said, you need to pray in the spirit, and I constantly do that. I start with prayer, on an individual level with myself when I get out of bed. And I'm just like, I start out just thanking God for allowing me to get through everything I got through the day before. Like, when I looked at the schedules and I'm like, this is a lot. And then I realized whose I am. And he got me through the whole thing. And I'm like, I don't know how I made it through today, but I had it moving. Like, people was going. They was crossing each other like in the schools down the hallway, with the little kids going to lunch and the bigger kids going to study lab. And it worked. So, you know, I think I
And you're making
know.
it fun. You're making it fun.
Yeah,
You're
and
making it
it's not
interesting,
like, everybody's heads down, which
like a chore.
which
Don't make
I'm
it a
hoping,
chore.
right? I'm hoping that the teachers who have kids understand that it's okay to implement certain structures with the students, but you know, it's not okay to make everything so dull and a chore. Like, like life is going to be like that,
Like it's
because
work.
there's some
Yeah.
people who, like, that's how they live their life. But let me tell you, I enjoy I enjoy my adult life. So I don't
And
want my kids to think that it's not going to be exciting or it can't be exciting.
right. And the
Hey,
excitement has
Yolanda.
to come from you. It's like in a classroom, um, when you leave at the end of the day, and I heard this from one of my mentors in the profession, that it's the kids that should be tired and not you, because you're working, you're allowing
Yeah.
them to do the work, you're allowing them. And guess what? It's in the midst of all of this that you are training your children. The Bible tells us to train up a child in the ways to go, and when he's old, he will not depart. It does not mean they are not going to stray here, stray there, but it does mean they'll stray. But because of the foundation that's been built, they will return to that. They will always consciously remember what was taught in the home, what they were trained to do. And I know we've spent a lot of time today talking. This is obviously going to be a two-parter, because we're talking about a lot the stress with children. But I don't feel guilty, because oftentimes this is the part that's missing.
Yeah.
We because we're focusing most times on ourselves and not realizing that even though they're young, baby
The
stress.
suicide rate in children is just as great, if not greater. We have
Yeah,
a medical professional on the
yeah,
line. It's just
yes,
as
yes.
great as the suicide rate in adults. So it's not a fictitious thing. When you're like, oh,
Mm,
y'all not stressed. No, they're
mm,
stressed. Like, they're
mm,
offing themselves. So
mhm,
stress. And we talked, I think last week, about reset, this being a world reset. And you get the opportunity. Is what you do with the opportunity. Like, you can look at this situation in a negative light, or you can take it for what it is, and gain from it and learn from it, and do some things, have a do-over, and do things. Hey, Monique, that's my girl. Hey, y'all gotta holler at her. Y'all need CMOS. um but you gotta do things differently. You know what I mean? Like, when they do
if you
go back. Go ahead.
do interesting point, because if you do, another wise person in my profession said once, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always
Yeah,
gotten.
yeah,
And the idea is not to stay stagnant and stay in, in the trenches. As I did this last year and it worked. Well, times change.
yeah,
It's time to change, and change with the times, change with the generational changes. It doesn't mean you're gonna do what they're doing, but you're going to incorporate new ideas to champion their cause as well as your cause. And there's never enough time for us to get everything in. But
never.
I feel really good that we've dealt with our children, because you know what? Children are not only our future, but they're our right now.
Yeah,
And we owe it to them, we owe it to God to take care of them. We're going to be held accountable for what we do to bring up our children. And I surmise that we're going to have to do a two-parter. And I promise you that Next week, we're going to come with probably a list. Lala, we can come up with a list of things that adults can
Can do
do
to de-stress. Come
besides,
on, Monique. Come
besides
on, Queen. Look, so we got Monique Todd on here.
yeah,
She is
yeah,
the hustler of all hustlers. Let me tell you,
I'm
and
encouraging,
she got some de-stressors for you. Holla at your
oh yeah,
girl.
yes, yes, yes. And again, we would not be complete today if we did not give a shout out and praise and thank God for our professionals who are on the front line,
Yeah.
who are helping us to get through this whole fiasco. So please, 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 take a moment to first off thank God, your creator, thank him for these people who are on the front line. We cannot work in solitude. We cannot work, we're not an island. We have to work as a team. We will get through this together. We'll get through it together. I'm gonna That's my piece, and I'm
Linda
sticking
said
to it.
my pastor's message this morning was from a song. It's only temporary. God is going to take care of every situation. Vanita said, quote by Jesus in the Vid Angel production of The Chosen, speaking to Simon Peter, get used to different. That's it. That's the hook right there.
That's right. That's right. I
Yeah, I'm
love
gonna
you
get with
guys.
you. I'm
I
gonna get with
love
you, Queen.
and don't hesitate to send us comments, and if you have ideas for topics, things that you want us to talk about and discuss in our we don't have a red table, but we do have coffee and tea. So I'm
And
looking forward to
water
next
with
water.
tea.
Definitely water. I'm getting so much better with the water thing. So really, as you're going through the weekend, make sure to take time for God and take time for yourself. It's so important. I promise you, you will not regret it. You will not regret it. And I keep saying that's my spiel, and I'm done. I'm going to shut down
Well,
now.
my closeout is I get it. I understand stress is real and you're not in this alone. You're not the only one. Trust. Your stress may look different than mine, but all of us go through it. And like so many of the Facebook viewers have said this morning, you got to take, and this is a two-edged sword. You got to take time for yourself. You got to find that time, that peace, even if it's locking yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes, just to breathe, just to look at yourself in the mirror, like my mom said
You
earlier,
used to
and
do
say,
that,
yo,
remember?
you're doing it. I did. And now I go in the bathroom and their little fingers coming up under the door and then they know how to open the door and get in with me. Like my little baby is like in the bathroom now. So my me time is us time. But I gotta
Yeah.
find that space, even if it's jumping in the bed and going up under the covers so nobody can see me. But you gotta take that time and then understand that if for those of you who have children, um, they're stressed too. This is different for them, and so whereas most people are like, I can't wait to get back to normal. There is no normal from the past. Like even if you wanted to, you couldn't get back to what was because there's so many different dynamics involved that it's just not going to be the same ever. And now is the time to develop a system where you're de-stressing, but you're allowing your children to de-stress as well, and you're allowing them to de-stress in a comfortable, safe, loving space, so that they feel, because now you don't have to worry about all of the elements outside, like people getting to your children. It's you. And so what you do with this opportunity means everything. Now you can regain those relationships with your children where they used to be, oh, nothing. And then they talking to their friends. Take the cell phones at a certain time. So they have no choice. But yo, if you want to talk, it's me. It's me.
Absolutely.
And give them
Absolutely.
the safe space to do that so that they want to come talk to you. I want my children to know they can talk to me about anything. There are times where there will be correction. There are times where there'll be um, advice, instructions, and then just times that I'm just gonna shut up and listen because that's what they need. And if
And just remember,
I want to be their first go to, and so if I'm their
absolutely.
first go to, I'm gonna make sure I'm their only go to, because of how I respond. So keep that in mind. We're going to do a part two to this because it's so necessary. Because I guarantee you I'm gonna be stressed again next week. I'm gonna be stressed again. I gotta hit up my queen, my girl Monique. Yo, I need some help. I need some de-stressors. But I guarantee I'm gonna be stressed again next week. So we are going to do this again. And because of technical difficulty, we got on here a little later. So we're getting off a little later. But I do want to revisit this because it's necessary. It's important. Because any other topic doesn't matter if you're stressed. You can talk about
Right.
it because people are depressed. Like stress turns into depression, and
Right.
depression can get you into a bad, bad state
I
of
gotta
mind.
say this. I gotta say something.
I knew you
One of
had to say
my, and I
something.
didn't see Jamila up here this morning, but let me tell you, Jamila today about coloring. She had posted some pictures of colorings that she had done.
Hmm.
Believe it or not, coloring is an excellent stress reliever. And I said, you know what? I love coloring. You want me to stop by the Dollar General and get you some color? I said, yeah, sure. Do you know that yesterday evening, shout out to Jamila, she brought me some coloring books, and I can't wait to get
Okay,
off this because I'm going to be coloring. After my prayer and praise, hey, Mama Lou's going
I
to
color with
color.
the girls, so all my colorings have like markings on them. But I get to get it
Yeah.
out. But little mama, little baby Lavinia comes along and she wants to draw on everything. So everything I do, she
And
want to do it. She don't want to do her own. She want to do it on my stuff. But we'll work it out.
exactly.
Hey,
Yeah. Love
Nikki,
you
love you,
guys so much.
girl. Just be her mom. A quote from God to me. That's it. That's it. That's all you can be, and it's how we parent. That's important. Um,
Absolutely.
because if that's one less stress to know that your kids are not
Yeah,
stressed. So
absolutely.
we are wrapping up another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. This has been awesome. I love the comments. Keep them going even after the live ends. Um, jump in my inbox if you have any comments or whatever, and I will get you what you need. There are so many people that were on this live today that can be of assistance
Yes,
for different ways to de stress. So
absolutely.
holler at me and I will
Absolutely.
direct you to the right person. All those people, God will flood the gate. So like, just understand that people start coming your way. I did it for a reason, and you're not out here to do things just for yourself. You gotta bless others too with the
Absolutely.
blessings God has given you. So I love you, my mama love you, and God love you too. Again, this is your girl, neo soul recording artist Lahla-Hadiya, wrapping up another segment of Morning Tea with Mommy. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, de-stressing, whatever that looks like to you. Make sure you do it, and make sure that you take time to relax. I'm going to listen to my own advice on that after today, because tomorrow it's mommy time. Nobody better
Exactly.
not bother me. So, um, until
All
next
right.
time, peace out.